Hey, welcome back to New Day. So grunge fans know Guy Maddison as the bassist for the group Mudhoney, but it's his job as a nurse at Harborview that sparked a new creative venture. His podcast, Emergency Room, the Covid Diaries, takes us behind the scenes as the COVID pandemic swept through Seattle, as seen by the nurses and doctors who dealt with this unprecedented crisis. Take us back to this time 2 years ago. You're a registered nurse working in the emergency rooms and ICUs at Harborview. What's going on?
I was previously working at my regular job in pre-anesthesia, and I was reassigned when we realized that we were having to completely change how we operated at the hospital. And because of my previous experience as an ICU nurse and a stat nurse, they assigned me to the COVID coordinator position, where we were responsible for making sure that people that were symptomatic coming in got tested, and then when people tested positive, that we moved them to the right part of the hospital for isolation, and that we tested them so that we knew when we could get them out of isolation. And that was essentially my job. Most of those people were being tested in the ED and in our emergency room and in our ICUs. We set up a special COVID ICU just to deal with the huge influx of COVID patients at that time.
I remember that. I remember being live outside Harborview talking about just this. It sounds like you had a pretty forward-facing position in all this. Did you have to isolate from your family?
I did. It was a whole new world that we didn't really know very much about. Back then we weren't sure how the disease could be transmitted. We were very careful about the things we touched and cleaning surfaces and contact with people. So I had started living in the basement here, where I am at the moment. Actually, my little music studio is in the basement of our house in Seattle. And I started showering before I left work, and I came home and I took another shower, and then I went and isolated in the basement, and I didn't hang out with my wife or my daughter at all, really, for about the first 6 or so weeks of that assignment.
Wow. I mean, did you have any idea how long, when we were going through this, how long it would last? At
first, no. We were really just dealing with the what was an onslaught of cases and a very steep learning curve of how to take care of these people, keep the sickest people alive, and also try and stop the transmission, mainly inside our hospital. We didn't want to, because there's other people in the other patients. We didn't want to infect them. We didn't want to infect our co-workers. So mainly we were focused on that, not thinking how long it would last. And it probably wasn't until well into it, about a year, that our infectious control physicians and specialists started to say, look, we can probably expect this to last a couple of years.
At what point, though, did what you and your colleagues were going through give you an inkling that this would make a good podcast?
Well, when I was, as we talked about, coming home, and I'd isolate in the basement, and at first I was on the night shift, and so I was sleeping during the day and working at night, and I found myself down in the basement, and I started journaling during that first 6 weeks and writing a journal. And then after that, a few months after that, I thought, well, what could I do with this journal? And then I realized that a lot of the people that I dealt with on a daily basis, who are the people that turn up in the podcast, had fantastic stories to tell that I didn't really see on the news. More specifically, I didn't hear anything coming from my own, the people that I see all the time that I think had really valuable stories. Harborview was right as the county hospital. We were right at the epicenter of the pandemic for people local to this area. And I just thought, I know what questions to ask them because I work with them. And so I thought that I'd start interviewing them for the podcast. In your other life, you are a rock star. Did you also contribute to the music in the podcast? Yeah, so I'm in Mudhoney, and some of the music that we use is Mudhoney, and some of the music we use is some other projects that I work on locally, a band called Beauty Hunters, and some other local stuff. The podcast company, Ruinous Media, also provide music from certain local musicians. John from 762 Hero put some of the music in there. But yeah, but it is mainly Mudhoney and my music. I love it. Oh, speaking of Mudhoney, are we going to be able to start seeing Mudhoney in concert again? we've come to a point where Mudhoney feels safe to come out of isolation, and we're very pleased. We've been practicing again, and we're going to play 2 shows at the new Crocodile Cafe in downtown Seattle. Yeah, on the 16th and 17th of this month.
Well, rock on. So excited to see people out performing live again. Thank you again for sharing with us this podcast, your thoughts, your experiences. We appreciate you, Guy. Yeah, and you can listen to Emergency Room, the COVID Diaries, wherever you get your podcasts. And Mudhoney's first performance in over 2 years. They're this week. They play Wednesday and Thursday at the Crocodile Cafe. Hope you can get down there.